Hey there, Ridgely Goldsberry here from Harding Szymanski, and I am joined today by JoHanna Sumner-Damme to talk about credentialing and validation and re-credentialing and revalidation. And I'm with the expert because she is the Credentialing and Contracting Manager at HSC. JoHanna, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited to learn about something that a lot of people know nothing about. So let's kick this off. What is re-credentialing and revalidation?
Re-credentialing and revalidation is a process that follows the provider's initial credentialing with a payer. It does occur every 2 to 5 years, depending on that payer-specific guidelines, but it's a really important process because it ensures that that provider is still credentialed with the state, with their DEA, with the government, malpractice cases, different things that they need to check for that provider, and that they meet that payer-specific policies and guidelines. So it's a really important process that needs to be followed for that provider to stay in network with that payer.
What are the key factors that influence the re-credentialing frequency?
The key factors that affect a provider's re-credentialing or revalidation are whatever specialty the provider is in. There may be different guidelines per specialty, the specific payer guidelines as well. It's just really important to make sure that we have kept track of the initial effective date and know the policy for each payer that that provider is credentialed with, so that we know when to expect that that provider is going to be re-credentialed or revalidated again. And it's important for the payer to know that they're continuing their education, being versed in the specialty that they're credentialed in, and that they're maintaining their licensure as well, so that they're meeting all guidelines set by that payer.
What happens if the requested or required information isn't submitted to the payer on time?
If the required information for validation or re-credentialing is not received by the payer on time, there can be several things that could occur. The payer could be termed from that particular insurance company as a participating provider. All of their claims could be denied, or they could be processed as out of network, which would give the provider less reimbursement and it would put more of the financial responsibility onto the patient. And we would have to start that re-credentialing process all over again for that provider, which means during that time frame, they may not be able to see the patients with that particular insurance. So it's so important to make sure that we get that information in on time. Usually before that process starts, the payer will send out an email or a letter to the provider or the credentialing staff to alert them that process is beginning. And it will also list a date that they have to have that information by. So we have to make sure that we get that information in on time. That way, all of the other things that I just listed will not occur for that provider, and he will remain a participating provider.
Is there a process or procedure that can be followed in case an email or a letter is not received by a provider?
There are a couple different processes that you can follow that will help you as a backup to know that those dates should be occurring and that that revalidation or re-credentialing process should be coming for that provider. You can use an Excel sheet and you can track the initial effective date that that provider was effective with that payer. You can put a date in an Outlook calendar to know that that specific payer should be coming up for re-credentialing or revalidation for that provider. Or many offices have a credentialing program where we can input the initial effective date of that provider, and it will also reflect a follow-up date that we should be re-credentialing or revalidating that provider. So it lets us know that if that process hasn't started and we haven't received an email or a letter, we should be contacting that payer to say, hey, we understand that this process should be ongoing at this time. What information do you need so that we can update that provider? That's that backup system to ensure that that provider stays participating with those plans always.
JoHanna, thank you so much for the time. Very valuable information to make sure we take care of the patients and the providers in our re-credentialing and revalidation process. Deeply appreciate your insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you.